Hello, I'm Sarah. This is Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here with my July pile of possibilities. I'm saying pile of possibilities because I'm a mood reader. I do have a few things that I have to read for commitments and buddy reads and the like, but the rest of it is things that are kind of piquing my interest right now that I might jump into. So the reason I'm doing this, if you follow my channel, you know this is not the normal thing that I do. It's because I am struggling to get back into my regular cycle. These books right here are books that I still have yet to tell you about, but I've already completed. And some of these are BookTube prize books, hence why they're kind of turned around so that you don't know which ones they are yet. But I really want to share some of the insights about those. But at the same time, start to move forward. So I figured this will give me a good opportunity to do that. I can kind of show you potentially what's on my landscape, and then we can go from there. And then as we check in every week, you can see which of these I decided to read and which ones I punted for something else, because that's how it works. And then all credit for the phrase pile of possibilities goes to Kazen from Always Doing. She coined that phrase. I absolutely love it, and so wanted to give credit where credit is due. So first up is Jane Austen in July. And so as part of that, I've got two buddy reads that I'm doing. The first one is with Roz of Scala-Dandling About the Books, and we are reading Tristram, Shandy by Laurence Sterne. Now this is a Norton Critical Edition. It is as old as the hills, and it's already, the seams are breaking, it's already coming apart. I might have to just like tape this in myself. But this is actually very handy because Tristram Shandy is it's a comic novel, but it's also really dense. There's a lot of references and a lot of things that I don't really know that much about. So the annotations are incredibly helpful. Now I'm doing this dually. I'm doing this both I'm reading it and I'm also listening to it in audio, which is kind of helping, especially for some of the sections that are really dense. Okay, so we're reading this and we're going to read this all next week. So we should be done with it shortly. So stay tuned for my thoughts on this. And this is we're calling it part of Jane Austen in July because this was a predecessor, kind of a little bit ahead of her Jane Austen's time, but she has made reference to this author in some of her work. So that's good enough for me. Then with my very good friend Leo of Leo's Little Book Life, we are reading Northanger Abbey. Now, this is also an annotated edition. This annotation is phenomenal. This is done by, let me see, Anchor Books, and they have the whole, I think all of Jane Austen's are done this way. I just love the way they put it together, and we are flying through this. I think Tristram Shandy is me running in sand, and then this is me just kind of running on pavement where I just feel completely free. So we're flying through it, enjoying it immensely. And yeah, I don't think I've read Northanger Abbey before. I think this is the first time I'm reading it, but I'm very much enjoying it. Then I have a few that I'm interested in reading as part of the Jane Austen July. I'm going to do the Val McDermid Northanger Abbey and kind of do a fast follow, kind of keep the party going because I like Val McDermid and I'm just curious to see what she was able to do with the story. So that's one of the adaptations. And then I have this amazing Folio Society edition of Jane Austen's letters. I still remember I was in the bookstore, the used bookstore, and I saw it. And I asked Leo, I was like, should I get it? I texted him while I was there. And he's like, drop everything, get it, get it, get it. So let me show you this gorgeous thing. Just really, really beautiful Folio Society edition. It was $40, which is much more than they usually charge for things. But they just have all of these photos. Inside, it's just a wealth of really great material. Let me show you that. So yeah, very much looking forward to, I don't think I'm definitely not going to finish this month, but I think I'll dip in and out, and this will give me something to continue to enjoy and read in future Jane Austen Julys. Then, so that's Jane Austen July for this year. My In Real Life book club, we read the short lists of the Booker as well as the Women's Prize. And we didn't read The Promise. And so we are going to rectify that. And so I've got The Promise by Damon Galgut here. And so looking forward to reading this. Then I'm going to be reading The Country Girls, 3 novels and an epilogue. This is Edna O'Brien. Very excited because I've never read, I think I've read one short story that was in the Faber Shorts collection, but that's the only Edna O'Brien I've ever read. I really liked it. I know she's known for kind of bold writing, bold in terms of subject matter. So I'm super, super excited to read this. I'll be reading this with Eric Carl Anderson of Lonesome Reader. So yay. And then the last of the kind of group buddy reads, Sean and Bert of Past Story Time are leading a group read of this tome. This is Let the Record Show by Sarah Schulman. This is a political history of ACT UP New York, 1987 to 1993. Now, this is a chunkster, but it's going to be broken into 5 weeks. And she just posted a little summary, a little talk about how it's going to work on their channel. I'll put a link to it below. And there's still time to join this. But I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. I've owned this one, and ACT UP has been something that's been important to me in my life and AIDS activism. So really looking forward to reading this. Yay. So that was all of the committed reads, the things that I'm definitely going to do because I'm doing it with other people. The rest of it is just all things that I want to read. And when I do this kind of thing, what I tend to do is I think in terms of themes or genres and styles. So for summer type of reading, I like to read something really chunky. I like to really get into something that can kind of take my imagination. So for me, a lot of that is historical fiction. So I've got a few historical fiction books that I've really been interested in and haven't had a chance to read yet. First up, I've wanted to read this for so long. This is The Sun King by Nancy Mitford. Yes, that Nancy Mitford. So she wrote some biographies of famous French people. So I have this book, which is about the Sun King, Louis XIV. Look at that great cover. And my understanding, because I haven't read any of her biographies yet, my understanding is that she brings that kind of vibrancy and quirky writing style to these, which I'm incredibly looking forward to. So I've got this one that I'll start. This is the one I really want to read. And I also have Madame de Pompadour, also by Nancy Mitford, right there. So we'll see how far I get if I read them both or if I only read one. Another book I've had forever is Restoration by Rose Tremain. This was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, and this is during the court of Charles II. So I've heard good things about Rose Tremain, never read any of her writing, so might be a good time to start. I have this book that Leo got me for my birthday. And so this is In a Dark Wood Wandering, a novel of the Middle Ages by Helle S. Hasse. Look at that. And this is set in, let's see, it's Mad King Charles VI and his Bavarian wife, Isabel. And there's all sorts of characters. It sounds like it's going to be amazing. Leo says that this has never been out of print. It was originally first published in the Netherlands in 1949. So that bodes well, right? And then I saw this when I was in the UK. I remember pointing it out to Eric Carl Anderson when he and I were in we were at London Review of Books, but they only had the hard copy, the hardcover, and I had already bought so many books, so many books. So I passed it up. I needed to buy some books for the BookTube prize judging that I was doing, because I was judging the translated fiction, and I could not find it in my library within the time frame that I needed to read it. So I put an order, and somehow this magically got into my stack. This is The Flames by Sophie Haydock. This is set in Vienna in the 1900s, and this is all about the muses of Egon Schiele. I hope I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. But they're 4 muses and his relationship with them, and it just looked so good, so interesting. So we shall see if I get on with this. Then kind of adjacent to historical fiction are historical mysteries. And so I have a few mysteries that I have here. I'll start with the historical ones. This is one that I did get when I was in Europe. This is Daughters of Night, and by Laura Shepard Robinson. And it just looks so good. And this is set in 1782 in London. So great, interesting time frame there. Then this is one, I think this is one just won an award. This is Vaseem Khan's Midnight at Malabar House, a historical crime fiction novel. And this is set in Bombay, New Year's Eve in 1949. And then here are some more modern mysteries. Summer just seems to be for mysteries. Who am I kidding? Any time is good for mysteries in my estimation. I really use mysteries as my palate cleanser. I always like to have one going at least. This is another one that I got in London. This is The Khan by Saima Mir. And this is modern day about a London lawyer who gets pulled into some crime in her Pakistani neighborhood and community. Sounds fantastic. I've had this for a little while and have been meaning to get to it. It's 8 Detectives by Alex Pavesi. And this is set in 1930. Heard good things about that. And then this one, I'm not really sure what to call it. I think it's a mystery, but it's a choose your own adventure mystery. And I've been meaning to read this for so long. Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventure, I think she maybe renamed it to Melanie Martin. I'll put a link to her channel below where she actually spoke with this author. And it was such a delightful interview. And little chat. And this is The Wandering by Intan Paramaditha. And this just sounded like so much fun. And so I'm really looking forward. This is a choose your own adventure story. It sounded so interesting and very clever. So I definitely am going to prioritize this one because I've had it for so long. Another type of book that I like to read during the summer is something that's really atmospheric, that kind of helps propel me into another place, another time. And so I have a couple here that might do the trick. The first one I've been meaning to read for a very, very long time. This is Eileen Chang's Lust Caution. This is set in 1940s Shanghai. And just the cover, right? Just so beautiful. And I'd like to read this and then watch the movie. This one is a new author, new to me, old author, backlisted, new to me. And I think I'll start with this one because our other books are a little heftier. This is Isabel Colegate's The Shooting Party. And this is in 1913. So right before war gets started, and this is in Oxfordshire. And y'all know I love that location. And then another location I love very much is Paris. And this is The House in Paris. And this is Elizabeth Bowen. I haven't read this Elizabeth Bowen. I've read The Death of the Heart, but I really liked her writing style. So very looking forward to this, even though there are child narrators in this one, which I'm not a big fan of child narrators, but we'll see if I get on with this. I also am very easy to let go of something if it's not working for me. And especially in the summer where you just have so many books and you have a time that you can actually focus on them, I want to enjoy them. So the next up is a group of nonfiction that I'm interested in reading. First up is The Outrun by Amy Liptrot. This sounded really good, and I think I can probably breeze through this pretty quickly. It's about a woman who is trying to get sober, and she's returned to her home, and it has nature writing. It's supposed to be very good, very beautiful. So I've meant to read that for a while. Here's something that I picked up in London that just sounds wild. This is called The Premonitions Bureau by Sam Knight. Look at that cover. And this is about a researcher that was working with people who claim that they have ESP, or extrasensory perception, and they can predict future events. And I guess there were two people that actually could do this. And this is all about that story. Supposedly it's narrative nonfiction, like really propulsive. So sounds like a fun thing to read. Then this one just came as well. This is Translating Myself and Others by Jhumpa Lahiri. I'm a big fan of Jhumpa Lahiri, and being someone who really likes studying foreign languages and maybe had a miscalling in not becoming a translator. I don't know. I'm curious more about her journey and more about her experience in translation. I have read In Other Words, and I thought it was lovely, but I'm curious to see what her further thoughts of it are. And this is a nice little slim volume, so it could be really great. And then lastly, I always try to get some art, something during the summer. And I have 3 books that pertain to art specifically. The first one I got in London, and this is Celia Paul's Self-Portrait. Zadie Smith and Olivia Lang blurbed it on the front, and that just looked so cool. This is kind of like a little bit of a memoir, and she has some of her works, and she talks about her relationship with Lucian Freud when she was really young, when she got involved with him. I'm more curious about her process and her experiences in the art world than I am necessarily about the Lucian Freud relationship, but really excited to dip into that. This was part of my Shakespeare and Company Year of Reading bundle. I'm going to take the Shakespeare and Company tag off of it. This is David Hockney's Spring Cannot Be Cancelled. It's David Hockney in Normandy, and this is written by Martin Gayford. Big fan of David Hockney, and looking forward to spending a little time with this one as well. And then the last one that's piquing my interest is Modernists and Mavericks, also by Martin Gayford, so the same author. And this is Bacon, Freud, Hockney, and the London Painters. So it might be interesting to read all 3 of these if I can possibly get to something as ambitious as that. We'll see. But yeah, so that is my pile of possibilities for this month. I would love to know, have you read any of these? Do you think I would like some more than others? Are there some that are like this that you know that I should be reading? I hope your summer is going well. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye.